So why is interoperability so important for the energy transition?
I see digital interoperability as the ability to interact seamlessly across systems, and that could be internal systems or communication towards external parties. My name is Emilie Skoglund. I work as a consultant in DNV, and my main role is to help support grid operators through their digital transformation. It's allowed me to see how digitalization of business processes can increase efficiency and reduce costs.
I'm Kristian Lindøe. I'm Group Innovation Manager in DNV, and I'm always curious about finding out how we can take advantage of new technology to make the energy transition happen cheaper and faster.
If I was talking to you now in a not in a digital language, but in another language that you don't understand, it would be quite hard for you to interpret what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
And it's the same with machines. They need a common language that they can use to interact. I think that's very important if you want to be able to automate processes and do those sort of measures to speed up the energy transition. I believe in digitalization as a tool for that.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you mean, because I hear, for instance, when supply is low because the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing, sometimes someone has to make a phone call to someone running a hydro plant up in the mountains and ask them to please turn on more water and produce more power, and that doesn't sound like a very efficient way of doing it.
Yeah, no, not at all, and that's exactly where the machines can come in and make the processes more efficient, which will free up the time of the human resources so that they can be used for what they're actually supposed to be used for, and not data punching and manual emails or phone calls. To then use the machines to automate those sorts of processes that can, where they can replace humans, you can actually save millions of dollars. Well, some would say that machines are stupid, and that might be changing, but anyway, they sort of see things more in black and white than people do. They need an unambiguous language in which to communicate with each other, to be able to get that seamless integration between systems. So what do you see as the role of innovation in all of this?
Yeah, I think innovation should apply all its discipline and methods to find the right use cases for technology. So now we have a lot of technology. We have huge advances in processing power. We have more and more data is being produced by more and more sensors. We have artificial intelligence. We have digital twins. We have a lot of possibilities, and I think innovation can provide a process and tools for making sure that we get the most out of these things to solve real world problems and actually do something that is useful, for instance, like making the energy transition cheaper and faster. And I think that is a goal that is useful to always keep in mind. And I also think that innovation is always best when there is clarity about goals. We see that whether it's wars or space races. If there is a race to be the first one to the moon, a lot of innovation comes from that. If you have a war, sometimes it's about we need a faster plane, and then you do all the innovation and R&D and whatever it takes to get a faster plane than the other ones. And this clarity of goals, I think, is really important, because we needed the energy transition yesterday. So we're really in a hurry, and we need to speed those things up. And I think also standardization is a part of the innovation here. It may not sound very intuitively right, but innovation is easier to do if you have some sorts of standards, and that is about feedback loops. So you will make a lot of mistakes, and a lot of innovation is about making mistakes, but about learning fast from those mistakes that you do, and make sure that for every time you have built something too expensive or with faults, that you learn from it, so that you can drive down costs and make things better and cheaper. And we saw another war example. After the bombing of Pearl Harbor in the World War II, the US had no frigates. And then at the end of the war, they had 361 frigates. And most of them were built at the end of the war because the first ones were very expensive and it was slow to build, but they managed, and they had a very clear need to speed this up. And through standardization, they brought down the costs and they managed to make as many as they needed. So if innovation can help speed up standardization and make sure that technology is used for solving actual real world problems, then innovation plays a good role in the energy transition.
Yeah, so that's sort of like in putting that like into our context specifically, the common language is sort of the standard that lays the foundation for for the digital interaction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think because now when everyone talks about ChatGPT and AI, and I think we had the breakthroughs there first because language, there may be many different languages, but alphabets and language is some sort of standard. And then you have data that is somewhat standardized to train models on and so on. So we got the breakthroughs there. But with industrial data, we don't have enough standardization and common languages, and then we don't get those breakthroughs, and we sorely need those breakthroughs.
Definitely. And I think, what you're saying as well, that we don't have those standards across because we've been working quite siloed. Like you've had different industries within the energy domain have been working separately. In their own little bubble. And I think everyone is realizing now that we need to come together. We see sort of sector coupling happening. They're not only to sort of that we need to learn from each other and share, but we actually need to, the landscape of sort of the energy, how it's used and how it flows is changing. I think everyone sees that we need to communicate, and everyone is already sort of working towards that. But with this common digital language that we've been talking about as well, is sort of the challenge of this being something that is meant to sort of replicate what we have in the real world. And as we know, the real world is quite complex, and it's full of nuances and small details, and to sort of replicate that in a digital language and represent it correctly, or at least in the way you're supposed to use it for your use cases, is also therefore complex. But I think what we see now is that we are actually working together on creating these information models and these common digital languages.
Yeah, and I understand. We have we hear a bit of the same from all parts of the value chain, whether it's regulators or huge companies. What they actually say is that we cannot fix this alone. We actually need someone else for everything here. We need someone else to collaborate with to get to these common languages and get this thing going. But there is this will to do it, and I think that is because everyone sees the need for the energy transition to happen faster and cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.